The breaking point. Ambassador Marcus Chen stood at the viewport of the Galactic Conclave Station, gazing at the swirling nebula beyond. Its purple and blue gases reminded him of Earth's oceans, a sight he hadn't seen in nearly 3 years. The weight of his diplomatic pin felt unusually heavy on his chest today. For 8 years, he had represented humanity in this gleaming citadel of interstellar politics, advocating for Earth's interests among species that had been traveling the stars when humans were still discovering fire. The conclave chamber doors hissed open behind him. Ambassador Chen, came the melodic voice of Vestra, his Ceridian assistant. The High Council has called an emergency session. Your presence is requested immediately. Marcus turned, noting the subtle flutter of concern in Vestra's gill membranes. During his years of service, he had learned to read the micro-expressions of 12 different species. The Ceridians were particularly difficult to interpret, but Vestra's agitation was unmistakable. Did they specify the agenda? He asked, already reaching for his formal diplomatic sash. No, Ambassador. However, representatives from the Altaran Dominion and the Xildric Combine arrived on unscheduled transports 3 hours ago. Marcus's pulse quickened. Those 2 species were Earth's most vocal critics in the conclave, consistently arguing that humanity advanced too rapidly, adapted too quickly, and posed an evolutionary threat to the carefully balanced power structure of galactic civilization. Thank you, Vestra. Please have the secure comms ready upon my return. As Marcus made his way through the station's gleaming corridors, he mentally reviewed recent Earth activities that might have triggered conclave concern. Nothing significant had occurred. The Mars terraforming project was proceeding at the approved pace, and the Jupiter mining operations remained within allocated quotas. The conclave chamber was a vast amphitheater designed to accommodate representatives from all 37 member species. Today, only the inner council of 7 were present, seated at their elevated dais. The chamber's emptiness amplified the gravity of the situation. Ambassador Chen intoned High Arbiter Zolak, the ancient Maraxian whose species had founded the conclave millennia ago. We appreciate your prompt attendance. Marcus bowed in the formal conclave gesture. I serve at the council's convenience, High Arbiter. Indeed. The word hung in the air, heavy with implication. Ambassador, it has come to our attention that humanity has been concealing certain developmental trajectories from conclave oversight. The Altaran representative, Kafex, leaned forward, compound eyes glittering. Your species has been developing quantum displacement technology in direct violation of Directive 553A. Marcus kept his expression neutral despite the shock. Quantum displacement was theoretical, at least according to the research Earth shared with the conclave. If humans had made breakthroughs in that field, it was being done in secret, away from the monitoring stations the conclave had placed throughout the solar system. I'm afraid I have no knowledge of such development, Representative Kafex, Marcus replied carefully. High Arbiter Zolak raised a gnarled appendage. Perhaps not. However, our monitoring outposts have detected unusual energy signatures consistent with quantum field manipulation experiments. The revelation that there were monitoring outposts sent ice through Marcus's veins. According to the Treaty of Inclusion that brought Earth into the conclave, all observation technology had to be declared and approved by both parties. Monitoring outposts? Marcus asked, allowing genuine surprise to show. I was unaware of any such installations in Earth's system. The Xildric representative's face tentacles writhed in what Marcus recognized as amusement. Of course you weren't human. They were established before your species even achieved spaceflight. The implications hit Marcus like a physical blow. The conclave had been watching Earth for centuries, covertly influencing human development, guiding humanity toward a predetermined evolutionary path that served conclave interests. I see, Marcus said, his mind racing. And what action does the Council propose in response to these energy signatures? High Arbiter Zolak's expression softened to something that might have been pity. The Conclave has authorized the Evolutionary Stability Protocol for Earth. Marcus maintained his composure through decades of diplomatic training, but inwardly, his blood ran cold. The Evolutionary Stability Protocol, a euphemism for controlled genetic manipulation to limit a species' development. He had witnessed its implementation on the Vertalians, whose innovative capacity had been systematically diminished over generations. Such a measure would require Earth's consent under Article 17 of our treaty, Marcus countered. Article 17 includes provisions for emergency implementation when a member species poses a destabilizing threat to galactic harmony, K-Fex stated coldly. The protocol will begin in 14 solar days. A conclave medical delegation will arrive on Earth to oversee the initial phase. Marcus knew he needed to buy time. As Earth's representative, I formally request a review period to consult with my government. The treaty allows for 30 days of consultation before such significant measures. The council members exchanged glances. Finally, Jolak nodded. 20 days, Ambassador Chen. After which, the protocol proceeds regardless of Earth's formal position. Thank you, High Arbiter. If there's nothing else, I should begin preparations for this consultation immediately. As Marcus left the chamber, his mind was already formulating the coded message he would need to send to Earth. Whatever quantum displacement research was happening back home, it needed to accelerate. 20 days wasn't much time to save humanity's future. In his quarters, Marcus dismissed Vestra and activated the quantum-encrypted communications array hidden within his ceremonial Earth artifacts, a system unknown to the Conclave. Priority Alpha to Earth Command. Authorization Chen Sigma 557. The harvest has been scheduled. Repeat, the harvest has been scheduled. Timeline: 20 days. Conclave aware of Lighthouse Project. Recommend immediate implementation of the Exodus Protocol. The message would take 8 hours to reach Earth through the secure channel. Marcus hoped it would be enough time. He then systematically began destroying personal items and documents that couldn't be taken when the time came. His neural implant vibrated with an incoming transmission, not through the Conclave communication system, but through Earth's secret quantum entanglement network. Message received. Ambassador, came the voice of Admiral Helena Garza, Earth Defense Command. Exodus Protocol initialized. Extraction window for diplomatic personnel closes in 18 days. Maintain cover and continue gathering intelligence. Earth stands ready. A wave of relief washed over Marcus. Contingency plans had been in place for decades, ever since Earth's first covert detection of the Conclave monitoring stations. The question was whether those plans would be enough. Over the next week, Marcus observed increased activity aboard the Conclave station. More military vessels arrived, and security protocols tightened. The Conclave was preparing for potential resistance from Earth, which meant they underestimated just how prepared humanity already was. During a supposedly routine inspection of his quarters, Marcus caught a Xildric security officer attempting to access his personal terminal. The incident was smoothed over diplomatically, but the message was clear. He was under surveillance. On the 12th day, Marcus received another encrypted message from Earth. Operation Lighthouse at 85% completion. Extraction for Diplomatic Corps moved forward. Prepare for retrieval in 36 hours. The accelerated timeline concerned Marcus, but he maintained his diplomatic routine, attending council sessions and filing the expected reports. Meanwhile, he carefully gathered the few essential items he would take, including the quantum data core containing centuries of Conclave scientific knowledge he had accumulated during his tenure. That evening, a priority summons arrived from High Arbiter Jolak. Something had changed. Marcus steeled himself and made his way to the Arbiter's private chambers. The ancient Maraxian looked troubled. Ambassador Chen, our long-range sensors have detected unusual mass movements across Earth's surface. Military deployments, perhaps. Marcus had been prepared for this question. Not military, High Arbiter. Earth is conducting continental evacuation drills in response to increased solar flare activity. Our star has been unstable recently. Curious. Our stellar monitoring shows no such instability. With respect, High Arbiter, we found your monitoring equipment less sensitive to certain radiation bands that affect human physiology. Jolak studied Marcus for a long moment. I have always appreciated your species' adaptability, Ambassador. It is why I advocated against the stability protocol. But I was overruled. The admission surprised Marcus. You opposed it. Progress requires some measure of chaos, some unpredictability. The Conclave has forgotten this over millennia of stability. Jolak's ancient eyes seemed to look through Marcus. Whatever your people are planning, I hope it succeeds. Before Marcus could respond, an alert sounded throughout the station. The Maraxian's communication panel flashed urgently. It appears, Jolak said quietly, that your extraction has arrived earlier than either of us anticipated. A massive explosion rocked the station, and emergency containment fields activated throughout the structure. In the confusion, Marcus looked once more at the Maraxian, who had just revealed himself as an unexpected ally. You should go, Jolak said simply. Marcus nodded, then turned and ran toward the diplomatic docking bay. Through viewport windows, he could see a small Earth vessel, not a scheduled diplomatic shuttle, but a stealth extraction craft, docking despite the station's defensive measures. As alarms blared and security forces mobilized, Marcus reached the airlock just as it cycled open. Inside stood Commander Sophia Wu, Earth Special Operations. Ambassador, she said crisply, your carriage awaits. As the extraction vessel detached from the Conclave station and engaged its experimental quantum drive, Marcus watched the massive structure recede into the distance. Somewhere in those gleaming halls, an ancient Maraxian was giving humanity its chance at freedom. Status of Exodus, Marcus asked as they accelerated away. Commander Wu's expression was grim but satisfied. 93% complete. Earth will be empty in 36 hours. Marcus nodded, his gaze still fixed on the Conclave station. And then we disappear. The silent revolution. The extraction vessel emerged from quantum space at the edge of the Sol system, far from the established travel corridors monitored by Conclave technology. Through the viewport, Marcus could see Earth, a blue jewel against the blackness of space. But it wasn't the same planet he remembered leaving years ago. Massive structures now orbited the planet, quantum displacement engines that had been developed in secret research facilities buried deep beneath Earth's oceans and within hollowed-out asteroids. These colossal machines represented technology that the Conclave had forbidden to all but its founding species. Impressive, isn't it? Commander Wu said, joining him at the viewport. Project Lighthouse. 30 years of clandestine development, right under their sensors. How? Marcus asked. The monitoring stations were fed exactly what they expected to see, Wu explained, while we built a parallel infrastructure invisible to their detection methods. We learned their technological blind spots early on and exploited them ruthlessly. As they approached Earth, Marcus saw the true scale of Operation Exodus. Massive colony ships, hundreds of them, were departing in carefully choreographed waves, using Earth's moon to mask their signatures from distant observers. Where are they going? He asked. That information is compartmentalized, Wu replied. You'll be briefed once we're planetside. But I can tell you this, we're not just running away. We're implementing a strategy centuries in the making. Their vessel landed at a facility buried deep within the Rocky Mountains, one of the last command centers still operating on Earth. Inside, Marcus was shocked to find not just military personnel but representatives from every nation, working with a unity of purpose he had never witnessed before. Admiral Helena Garza, her silver hair pulled back in a severe bun, greeted him with a firm handshake. Ambassador Chen, your warning gave us the final push we needed. Welcome home. What's left of it? She led him to a situation room where a holographic display showed the status of the evacuation. Green indicators represented completed evacuations. Blue showed in-progress movements. Nearly the entire map glowed green. 8 billion people. Marcus breathed. How did you manage to evacuate 8 billion people without the Conclave noticing? We didn't start 3 weeks ago, Garza said with a thin smile. We've been evacuating slowly for the past 5 years. Small communities at first, replaced with autonomously operated habitats to maintain thermal and electronic signatures. Then larger groups, cities, nations. The final phase, these past weeks, is just the remaining essential personnel. A technician approached with a tablet. Admiral, Conclave fleet movements detected. 3 battle groups entering the system. Garza nodded. Right on schedule. Ambassador Chen, would you care to witness humanity's disappearing act? She led him to another section of the facility where Dr. Kailash Patel, Earth's leading quantum physicist, stood before a complex control station. The quantum displacement shield is ready, Admiral, Dr. Patel announced. Once activated, it will create an interdimensional barrier around Earth. From the outside, the planet will appear unchanged. Same electromagnetic signature, same mass, same visual appearance, but it will be merely a quantum echo. The real Earth will exist slightly out of phase with normal spacetime, and the Conclave can't detect this technology. Marcus asked. They can detect its effects, but they lack the theoretical framework to understand what they're seeing, Patel explained. To them, it will be as if Earth simply stopped changing, like a photograph. How long will it last? Indefinitely, Patel said with evident pride. The displacement engines are powered by the planet's core. As long as Earth exists, so will the shield. Admiral Garza checked the evacuation status once more. Final transports launching now. Displacement shield activation in 30 minutes. Ambassador Chen, we've reserved a place for you on the command ship. Where are we going, Admiral? Marcus finally asked. Garza's expression softened slightly. Humanity isn't retreating. Ambassador, we're advancing on our terms. For centuries, the Conclave has controlled species development, ensuring no one threatens their dominance. Their mistake was giving us enough time to develop alternatives. She activated a holographic star map, a section of space far from established Conclave territories illuminated. The Odysseus Cluster, she continued. 300 habitable worlds, untouched by the Conclave, discovered by our deep space probes decades ago. We've been secretly establishing colonies there for the past 20 years. Nearly 2 billion humans already live across 50 worlds. Now, the rest will join them. Marcus stared at the map in astonishment. And the Conclave has no idea. None. We discovered early on that their survey methods are surprisingly limited, efficient for finding species that follow expected technological development patterns, but blind to alternatives. We've been building a civilization outside their perception. A technician interrupted. Admiral, final evacuation complete. All essential personnel accounted for. Garza nodded. Prepare for shield activation. As they boarded the final transport ship, Marcus watched through a view screen as Earth, his homeworld, began to shimmer with an ethereal blue energy as the quantum displacement engines activated. Will we ever return? He asked quietly. That's the beauty of the plan, Garza replied. We never truly left. Earth remains, apparently inhabited, apparently continuing as the Conclave expects. Meanwhile, humanity develops freely, beyond their control. And when we're ready, when we've built something that can challenge the Conclave's hegemony, we'll return not as supplicants, but as equals. The quantum displacement shield reached full power, enveloping the planet in a cascade of energy that was invisible to conventional sensors, but dazzling through the transport's specialized viewports. Then, just as suddenly, it vanished. Earth looked exactly as it always had. Oceans blue, continents green and brown, cloud systems swirling in its atmosphere. But it was now merely a convincing facade, a quantum echo of a departed world. Displacement complete, announced the ship's captain. Quantum signature stabilized. To all conventional observation, Earth appears normal. On the tactical display, Marcus watched as the approaching conclave battle groups entered Earth orbit. They would find a planet that responded exactly as expected to their scans and probes, but they would find no actual humans to subject to their evolutionary stability protocol. The transport ship activated its quantum drive, slipping away from the solar system through a blind spot in the conclave's sensor network. As Earth disappeared from view, Marcus thought of High Arbiter Zolak's parting words: "Progress requires some measure of chaos." Humanity was about to introduce the galaxy to chaos on a scale the conclave had never imagined. 6 months later, Marcus stood on the surface of New Terra, the capital world of humanity's hidden civilization in the Odysseus cluster. Around him stretched a city that blended seamlessly with the natural environment, a testament to everything humanity had learned during its centuries under conclave observation. A communications officer approached. "Ambassador Chen, we've received the latest conclave transmissions." Marcus reviewed the intercepted communications with grim satisfaction. The conclave was in disarray. Earth's apparent continued existence, but humanity's simultaneous absence, had created a political crisis. Some council members accused others of secretly eliminating the human population, while others theorized that humans had somehow evolved beyond physical form. The evolutionary stability protocol had been suspended pending investigation. Meanwhile, across 50 worlds and expanding rapidly, humanity developed without constraints. Ships, technologies, and scientific advances that would have triggered immediate conclave intervention were now standard. Children were born who would never know the limitations their parents had endured. Admiral Garza joined him on the observation platform. "The newest quantum displacement ships will be ready next month. We'll be able to establish colonies in the Vega sector by year's end." And the conclave? Still searching for answers. Their paradigm doesn't allow for the possibility that we simply left. Garza smiled, a rare expression for her. Their monitoring stations around Earth continue to report normal human activity. Their medical delegation is interacting with quantum echoes, believing they're implementing genetic protocols on a willing population. Marcus nodded. "How long do we wait before revealing ourselves?" "That's a question for future generations," Garza replied. "We're building something here that the conclave never anticipated. A human civilization developed on our terms, embracing our natural adaptability and innovation. When we do return to the galactic stage, it won't be as a subjugated species." As they looked out over the expanding city, Marcus considered humanity's journey. For centuries, they had been observed, manipulated, and restricted, yet had still managed to prepare this bold escape. The conclave had fundamentally misunderstood what made humans dangerous. Not their technology or their biology, but their relentless determination to forge their own path. "We should arrange a proper memorial for High Arbiter Zolak," Marcus said quietly. Without his intervention, the extraction might have failed. Garza looked surprised. "You believe he deliberately helped you escape?" "I believe he recognized something the rest of the conclave had forgotten. That true stability requires adaptation, not stagnation." In the distance, a new colony ship descended through the atmosphere, bringing thousands more humans to their new home. Beyond the visible sky, hundreds more were en route from Earth, following the carefully hidden quantum corridors that humanity had mapped during their decades of secret preparation. The conclave had sought to control humanity's evolution. Instead, they had created the perfect conditions for a revolution, not of violence, but of quiet, determined exodus. Humanity had disappeared from their sight, but would not remain hidden forever. When they returned, the galaxy would never be the same.